to the embodied.
Which is all of us, every last one of us. Hello, it's me, Isaac. And
Not
that's
me.
Josh.
I'm Josh and I live on the internet. I no longer have a body. I am a computer ghost.
Well, that's certainly an idea that's around and about a whole bunch, which I would like to talk about because I'm on a big old meat kick. I'm on a meat kick.
God, that is
Josh.
a multi-use kind of a phrase.
Yeah. What I mean by it in this particular moment is that I've been very much thinking about the mind-body connection recently and have concluded that we are all mere flesh, that we are clay. Or at least that it's more profitable and easy for me to understand my own situation to think about it purely or primarily in terms of being a body, being a meat golem that's flopping around.
And what you are getting at, it seems, is that all of your thoughts are just meat doing like chemicals, and not the product of a real soul or anything. Are you getting at this sort of
I guess that I'm coming from a perspective where I didn't think a soul was a thing anyway.
Well,
like,
okay.
You know,
I don't mean to raise a spiritual question. Just
that's not really where I was.
Are you doing like biological determinism as free will is concerned, or?
I'm not even talking about free will because I think that it would be foolish to. I mean, this is a purely utilitarian thing, and from a purely utilitarian perspective, like the entire universe is a series of predetermined outcomes that were set the moment that the Planck time elapsed and nothing exploded those many years ago before there were years.
Well, that sounds like you are doing determinism.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm saying even though that's true, that's not important.
Okay.
Because trying to think about life in that way might be good for alleviating anxiety under certain circumstances, I think, but it doesn't really. But I think possibly well, then why should I ever do anything? Response to that is the more pressing one, you know. So I don't think that dwelling on that is particularly.
Okay. So that's
productive.
not what you're getting at. What are you getting at? We're just
at
meat, as opposed to what?
I get even saying we're just meat is a little bit reductive.
Okay.
Like, what I mean is that we are meat. That's the best way to understand ourselves. And meat is capable of a whole bunch of amazing things, including like thought and art and creativity and expression and love and
the meat sings.
Society and culture. Exactly. This is the meat sings, and I feel like we denigrate our meat, some of us, and there are a lot of reasons to denigrate our meat. You know, there are definitely those of us who ended up in these meat suits that don't suit us, or that there is a disconnect between what our brains think our body should be and what our body actually is, and this creates this sort of antagonistic relationship which sort of memes out to a certain extent.
Sure. When you say denigrate, do you mean emotionally or physically, or both?
I mean, there are of course people who mortify the flesh in a very literal way by, you know, beating it up.
Or just not taking care of it, right?
Or just not taking care of it, or starving it. That's a common and popular option. In an effort to resolve this relationship by heaping abuse upon the unwanted thing in an effort to make it go away, which isn't a good idea in relationships with others or with yourself.
Yeah.
It doesn't tend to work, particularly since you can't really be divorced from your meat without kicking the bucket. And that's not so much being divorced from your meat as a suicide pact. You know, not ideal. I mean, I realize that that's a tautological way to frame that, but still, from, again, a utilitarian perspective, not great.
Let's dial back, though. I'm still trying to understand what it is that you have realized about bodies and meat.
It's more of an attitudinal thing, right?
Okay.
Like, so it's a I grew up, in nerd culture, to more or less, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like,
okay, I think I see what you're getting at, but go ahead.
and one of the precepts of, or one of the sort of unexamined assumptions in a lot of nerd culture, is that it would be cool to be a brain in a jar, in one way or another, or like a brain in a spaceship, or something like that. And it's like, I'm not saying that that's wrong, because I mean,
Obviously, that would be cool.
It would be cool to have a spaceship be your meat, but that's the point, right?
Yeah.
The spaceship would then be your meat, and that's why that would be cool. And we're not at a point where we can be meats, where we can be spaceships, and so we have to come to détente with the meat that we got. There is this sort of feeling among nerds and airy-fairy types and quote-unquote introverts and quote-unquote non-jocks.
Cerebral types.
Well, exactly. Which again is locating you in a place inside your body again.
Right.
But that's the phrase. That the flesh is at best an inconvenience and at worst an act of hindrance. And I think that is an unproductive way to think.
So you are advocating that we should live in our bodies, not in our heads.
Yes, because our heads are a part of our bodies.
Yes.
And the mind-body barrier, the mind-body split, is mostly nonsense. Or at least is not as split as one would hope.
Yeah. It's
under
not
most circumstances.
It's certainly not best understood as like, here's a cool choice that you can make between the two.
Yes, between like being embodied and being a sort of spirit that happens to also have a body.
Yeah.
In case some of you are like way ahead of the curve and haven't been telling me,
Well, yeah, like I said, I live on the internet now instead of in my body, so none of this applies to me. But I think it's good advice.
And
generally.
yet it does, Josh.
I encountered. Am I stuck? No.
Nope.
First gear is gonna do it. Oh,
Great.
careful,
Whoa,
Mister.
buddy.
Not quite a Mustang. I encountered this somewhat related writing advice when I was in writing school that you might like.
Okay.
This is going to be a paraphrased, half-remembered analogy, but a teacher quoted the advice was, your brain is a part of your machine. You have to take care of your body to take care of your brain. If you're not generally taking care of yourself, if you're not keeping fit, if you're eating a bunch of junk food, if you're doing a bunch of drugs, this guy was slightly wrong on the drugs front, but whatever. You're going to be a worse writer. And the analogy that he chose, incredibly, was your brain is a sniper rifle, and you need to keep the sniper rifle clear of peanut butter.
This was a writing instructor who
Yes,
unspooled that particular metaphor.
Who was quoting some author, so someone out there might be able to find what the actual quote was.
I don't know about you, Josh, but I am all the time dropping my sniper rifle into peanut butter.
I know, me too.
And then not bothering to clean off the lens or, work the peanut chunks out of the mechanisms.
Yeah. No, it's true. Like, you
got to keep your mind gun nice and clean so you can shoot things with your truth bullets.
Yes, correct. A sniper rifle covered in peanut butter, you'd be lucky if that thing even fires, let alone fires accurately.
Exactly. And your truth bullets might go away and hit something that you didn't want to hit with them and enlighten like a tree or a rock or an innocent bystander instead.
It is interesting,
of your chosen
though.
target.
It is interesting, though, is it not, that the process of taking care of the body must begin, or at least probably ought to begin, with taking care of the environment around the body? The mind-body connection is a step even more complicated than we might think, because the mind indeed is a part of the body, but also a part of the body-mind is the place.
Well, yeah, so here's
the environment.
I was actually going to get there eventually, but you've bumped me a little bit ahead in my contemplations here, because here's a question, Josh.
Mm-hmm.
When you get into a car,
okay,
and you are moving the car with your body and reacting with your body to the car,
Yeah.
Is that car not part of your body?
Yes, an extension of the body. Well, with me, certainly the car is not an extension of my body because I rarely drive, and I hate to drive.
In your case, a horse.
Or perhaps, yes.
Perhaps a virtual horse, even.
A virtual truck, perhaps.
Or
more generally, a video game controller might be the body extension that I'm the most familiar with. Mm-hmm. I was just talking as we set this trucks up that I have grown accustomed to a different gamepad than the one I used to do this, and this like once intimately familiar DualShock 4, has to adjust to my brain again, but already my fingers are in the right place, and so the mind is a very flexible organ, and it attaches itself to all kinds of things.
Is it not true that when your gear is in good condition and
free of peanut butter?
Free of peanut butter, exactly, and responds without additional foofara to your will, that feels better?
Yes,
it feels cleaner and provides less psychic feedback, as it were.
Yeah, I do stretches for my hands so that I can game more effectively.
Your hands are part of your gear, it turns out.
Yeah, they're an important peripheral for my desktop computer, which is also an extension of my mind.
Right. So so I'm not only am I in favor of treating your body as you, but I'm also kind of in favor of treating your immediate functional surroundings as you, possibly even your living space as you.
God, we could just take this all the way and say that your entire lived experience is you.
Well, I mean, yes, but it's also sort of hard and fast, like what do you actually have direct control over and what you don't?
Yes.
Kind of a situation.
A more useful and less philosophical framing.
Yeah. But
and
again,
we're talking about meat.
On the utility kick. We are talking about meat specifically here, so don't want to go too far afield of what the actual meat is. But in the same way that your gear, your car, your living situation rebounds psychically on you for good or ill, depending on how easy and free it is to move in and with it and to use it. Mm-hmm. Such is the case for your bod. And like for folks who deal with like chronic pain and various other like chronic disabling issues and have like adversarial relationships with their flesh because of this, I don't want to be sounding glib like the guy who is like, oh, you have depression, how about yoga? That is actively not what I'm trying to do here. I want to draw a distinction between that and this.
Okay.
Because like I don't think that you can fix yourself just by doing exercise.
Sure.
In all cases. And also starting to exercise, as we established in the previous trucks, or perhaps the 2 previous trucks ago at this point, is not trivial either.
Yeah.
Because your mind-body connection is an infinite loop, and if you can't get your brain to make your body do things because your body feels too bad for your brain to do that, then geez, hope you get locked out of your house and have to do a lot of walking.
Yes, but consider exercise if you can. It might do you some good. What I want people to consider is just like, you should introduce the outside world to the cult of walking. What is it called?
It's called the walking order at the moment. This is an idea that I had while walking around with this Trucks Discord habitué XNG, who while not part of the walking order herself at that moment, is very keen on massive social engineering and wanted me to start that. And I did. And then she started walking more, which is an epic self-own if I've ever seen one. But like, I even though right now I feel incredibly sore and tired because of all of the fucking walking that I've done in the past week and the past month and the past 6 months.
Oh yeah, no, you're a true exemplar of the walking cult.
Yeah, I lead no cult that you yourself are not prepared to be the most cultinist in, is my opinion. But like, my brain feels a lot better these days because of this, like to an almost alarming extent.
Another interesting wrinkle in the mind-body connection. One can feel worse to make the other feel better.
Well, and it's like, what kind of worse?
Yeah, a good kind of worse, I suppose.
Sore muscles.
There is a certain kind
good.
of soreness, yes, a certain kind of soreness which registers as not pleasure exactly, but positive.
Exactly, a sign that you've been doing stuff. And it's like, it's very distinct from the kind of sore muscles where it's like you need to change the way you're doing things or else you're going to cripple yourself.
Yeah.
And like, the chronic pain as opposed to like pain that actually is serving the purpose of what pain is supposed to be for, which is to alert you that you have worked a part of your body hard and it could use some, TLC.
Yes. I think that my chronic pain is telling me that my posture is slowly fucking me up.
Yeah, that is a thing that I believe that you should view as important as keeping your hands functional.
Yeah.
Because if sitting at your chair is fucking you up, then it's going to be harder to sit in your chair and do stuff,
Yeah, too much computer, man.
Walk, man. Do some time at the computer and then get out on the street.
Gotta follow fucking Jordan Peterson's advice and what is it? Stand up straight with your shoulders back and your chest forward.
They're not always wrong, or they're not wrong about everything. These fascists, those fascists had excellent posture. This is a general matter.
It's true, isn't it? It doesn't mean that good posture is necessarily fascist.
That is true. We can't let them have everything that they want. You can't let them have all the symbols that they want. You can't let them have all of the secret hand gestures that they want to keep for themselves. And we can't let them have good posture and healthy exercise, because also going out in there and getting exercise was a big part of, proto-fascist movements in Europe and all of that. Yeah. But they were on to something.
I mean,
they were on to something.
If it's not too much of a digression, we could say that is how fascism works, maybe by seizing on simple true things and then connecting those simple true things to wildly dangerous untrue things.
Yes.
But
so if at any point in the administration of the walking order I
become a fascist dictator,
I would ask that you remove me from my position of authority, John. If I start connecting them to other more dangerous ideas, but
like that we're all meat. Clearly, we're not all meat. We are all meat. Internet robots in the making. We are
also all stardust, but stardust in the form of meat. That's what the stars. The stars have coalesced in us into meat.
Who's the postmodernist essayist who says that we're all cyborgs because of the ways our brains are now? I guess that's not really.
It's just meat.
Question. Yeah.
As we established, your phone is a part of your meat at this point.
Silicon.
Albeit not I wish that my phone was like a small animal.
Do you ever
be much better? But
do you ever, in a state of sleepiness, try to Google things in your brain?
No.
I do.
I have a whole other set of hypnagogic activities when I'm half asleep, most of which have to do with delivering mail at this point.
I had a dream the other day that I was at my parents' home in California, and some girls I knew in high school came over and were like, "We're bored. We want to play on your Nintendo Switch." And the rest of my dream from that point on was very realistically going through the labor of locating all the Nintendo Switch controllers in the house, which in my parents' house, they would be just sort of all over the place on tables that are full of stuff, and then making sure that they are working correctly and charging them, and all the while being like, I was about to go to bed, but yeah, I'll do this for you. And cyborg.
If we're digressing, can I do a different digression?
Yes.
My father, who has been a long-time listener to Trucks, and I believe was responsible, if not directly, for the phrase "professional trucks" that I like to to dip into occasionally. He caught the mental health episode that we did, and he said to me, trucks has changed. And I was like, oh yeah, how so? And he's like, yeah, it's less about arts and culture now, and it's more about the experience of being two guys in their 30s. And I was like, well, I'm not doing anything to disprove that with this truck subject, but I think that it was kind of always about the experience of being two guys, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it was just previously about being two guys in their 20s.
Yeah, who saw a lot of the same movies and listened to a lot of the same things, which
we are not currently
which we
as
do not
in
really do
sync
anymore.
Culturally. It's less fun to just tell each other about. Well, it shouldn't be less fun to just tell each other about culture on trucks. We ought to do that. It would be more listenable than what we were doing before. But at any rate, he's not wrong. Trucks has changed a little bit, but trucks always changes because it's an extension of our ever-changing meat, which is
exactly.
For the record, my meat is not 30 yet.
Oh. You're well, my father has granted you that extra year, so
I know. I think I've spoken already about being 29, basically feeling like being fake 30, but only when I am real 30 will I be able to make the comparison.
Well, sometimes we'll have trucks about that once you turn 30.
Sometimes I forget that I'm not 30.
30-somethings trucks. Sometimes I forget that you're not 30, honestly.
Whoa.
I don't really know how old you are at any given point.
I don't know how old you are either. I know that you're about 5 or 6 years older than me.
Yep, that's exactly right. Actually, and
that's approximately
7,
right.
In fact, but I'm 36 years old, soon to be 37.
Did you see the happy cattle sign?
I did.
So, what other thoughts about meat? Have you seen that internet short? They're made out of meat. I think it's based on a short story. Two aliens visit the planet Earth and are horrified to discover that all the life on this planet is made out of meat.
Oh yeah, I do remember that. They should have been delighted. Meat's great.
A planet full of delicious creatures.
Well, we are also that.
How do you know?
Speaking as a person who eats many creatures. What do you mean, how do I know?
That
I've eaten them.
People in particular. You are implicating yourself as a person who has eaten a person.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that meat is delicious and most meat is essentially the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess the other point that I want to make about it is that if you were thinking about, if you're finding your current state untenable, hacking your meat is
meat hacks.
Yeah, meat hacks are a potential. I mean, that's about as Silicon Valley as I'm ever going to sound. But
what kind of hacks are available?
So many different kinds of hacks are available, and it's all about changing the chemical composition of your meat, and thereby the chemical composition of your brain, and thereby basically just the base level of how you're feeling, you know?
So this includes psycho drugs and also nutrition diet.
Yes, and exercise. It covers all of these things, because like if you're unhappy, like I think that is there something wrong with my environment? And if there is, can I change it? And if the answer to either of those questions is no, the next question becomes, well, what can I do about my meat? Because if I change my meat, I might feel more able to change my environment or various other external factors that are making me unhappy.
Tenderize that meat.
Tenderize that meat, massage that meat, draw the juices out of that meat. Go do a yoga and feel the anger coming out of you, as I used to do when I did yoga and got furious afterwards because all those anger chemicals were being wrung out of my body.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah. But
meditate?
Meat can
meditate.
Meat can meditate, and that is, again, like the reason that works is a way of doing your chemicals are good, because stress is chemical based. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the reason that stress fucks you up is that you have these chemicals going through you that are supposed to be for emergencies, but you're getting them all the time, and it's like etching panic pathways into your brain, you know?
Yeah.
Meat. I got this light now. I have this seasonal light. I've only had it for a couple of days. I've been waking up in the morning and getting blasted with photons.
Oh.
And that's making my meat feel good.
Yeah, meat likes light.
All kinds of shit is good for your meat. So like drugs, try them.
Some of them are beautiful.
Yeah, try drugs. Try eating different things. Food is a kind of drugs.
Don't try the drugs that you shouldn't.
Well, yes, obviously.
Just for the record. If this is the first Trux you're listening to, I mean, I think we've never said don't try heroin on drugs. So just for the record, Trux is not in favor of crystal meth, but it is in favor of weed.
Okay, so if we need to be specific about this, Trux is broadly in favor of the therapeutic use of hallucinogens and weed.
And
alcohol has its place.
doctor-prescribed medications also.
Yes, and we're also in favor of antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication, and various other brain drugs that might help you, but might not. And you got to try a bunch of different ones. That's generally how it goes.
If you have to get them off your creepy college classmates, so be it.
I mean, yeah, just don't be stupid.
Yeah, ask for advice.
Yeah. Lay off the opioids, even though they're delicious, because that'll fuck you up and make it really hard for you to poop.
It is so easy to irrevocably fuck up your meat. And the hard parts inside your meat, and
I want to touch on irrevocably there, right? Because I think that's a thing that limits people's
willingness to experiment with their
willingness to experiment with their to experiment with their meat is the thought that, well, what if I do the wrong thing to my meat and I'm fucked up forever? And I would respond to that: you're going to age. Mm-hmm. Your meat's going to change. You can't stop that from happening.
Yeah, it's going to irrevocably fuck itself up.
Yeah, and if you hurt yourself really bad, you will recover. And this is psychically and physically. You may be different after you're done, but you will come back. But your body and your mind, same thing, heals itself. Particularly if you let it. Particularly if you are diligent about healing itself, and what it heals into might be stronger than what you were before. It's like that is one outcome. Another outcome is like you get paralyzed and you're fucked. But
yes,
it's
not every part of your meat heals itself.
Yeah,
your tail won't grow back.
Yeah, well, as we just said, there are some drugs that you shouldn't try. There's some risks that you probably shouldn't take. But
if you're going to a lot of rock shows, it might be a good idea to get a good, one of those nice pairs of earplugs.
Yeah, exactly.
I have chosen to be precious about my hearing.
A little bit of hearing protection. That's good. That's caring for yourself. That's self-care. Mm-hmm. The understanding is you're going to lose some hearing anyway as you get older. You're going to lose some of this, some of that. The cool thing is, if you feel yourself getting older and are sad about the loss of certain faculties, you can start to do shit and develop other faculties that you didn't have before, which will make you feel less bad about getting older. And that's a fun thing.
A fair point.
Yeah. And oh boy, that was a quick Trux.
Yeah, brisk one.
I didn't even realize that we were so close to the end.
A sprightly jog.
I feel like I've definitely had the chance to say my enthusiastic meat piece here.
God bless us for not making any crass meat jokes.
I'll have you know, it didn't even occur to me because I'm a mature 36-year-old man.
That's how old you are.
Yes, I am.
Got it. Yes, you told me earlier. 7 years.
7 years. Yeah.
I'm 29.
You are 29, going on 30, and I'm 36 going on 37. God, I think it's likely that we'll still be doing Trux when I'm 40, Josh. My goodness.
My goodness. What form will it take at that point? Here, let me ask
Probably
you.
Trux, if I had to guess.
let me ask you a question which isn't quite what you were wanting to get at, but which this has made me curious about.
Sure.
Do you have an opinion on to what extent somebody should be mystical about the spirit part of their meat? Is there a limit to how irrational that you find yourself being, having conceived of yourself as meat?
Well, do you know what else hacks your meat?
Oh yeah, religion,
ritual, ecstatic experiences,
meat.
We were talking about this in the Discord, fasting for religious purposes and in a sort of group setting, although that might be self-harm in a different setting, can be a thing that you're doing to change your meat and to ultimately make yourself feel better and more productive because of the communal nature of the reaffirmation of your values and that kind of stuff. So I don't think that I think just like drugs, essentially, if the spiritual if you go too woo-woo and end up fucking yourself over, that's too much. But I think a great deal of woo-woo is both acceptable and potentially beneficial.
There are precious few kinds of meat in the world that can perceive beauty, and none that can perceive beauty quite like the human meat.
If you want to, I don't have a dog in that fight, so to speak. If you want to be exceptionalist about human meat, that's good. It's the only kind of meat that I'm aware of, that I'm familiar with from the inside.
All I'm trying to say is treasure your meat.
Oh my god, treasure your fucking meat. It's what you are. Treasure yourself. Oh, that's the other point that I wanted to make.
Yeah? Treat yourself like a delicious piece of Kobe beef.
Come into terms with, part of the thing that we try to do in the Trucks Court, and just as a general matter, is, we try to steer people away from talking themselves down. Mm-hmm. Because it's just bad for you. Across the board. Treat yourself with compassion. Treat yourself as the soft animal of your body, as Mary Oliver would say. That's you. You get to be the cute bunny that you take care of.
Treat your meat.
Treat your meat and be replete.
Wow.
Shun your meat and accept defeat. Okay.
Yes, we did it. Okay, good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Beat your meat.